Hello, everyone, and I've got a special guest on the show today. Her name is Anna in Style. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Anna, please introduce yourself and what do you do?
I'm a virtual personal stylist and visual brand consultant, and I love to work with high achieving women, empaths, and mavericks who want to upgrade their style when they are in the process of transition to a higher level in their business, for example, or in life. It happens also.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow. That is a very interesting, I guess, demographic, like high achieving women and personal style. So, I'd be really curious about how did this interest of yours all come about?
Well, I got the inspiration from my personal story. I was a miserable gray mouse turned into a desirable and admirable woman.
Wow. And what do you mean? What do you mean? Talk us through like what does miserable grey mouse? What was that life like for you? What was the identity for you back then?
I literally wore gray clothes and
Right.
brown and
Mhm.
black. This is just one part of the story. The other part is that I've been through many unfulfilling relationships. I always felt misunderstood. And even as an expert, I was really successful linguist. I still am.
Mm.
um, and I wasn't acknowledged for my expertise. People were looking down on me as if I'm some kind of still a student, although I was already working as a professional translator.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So basically, I could say that I was misunderstood. And I realized it was because I was sending mixed messages to
Mm.
people.
How did you
And
come
this is
to
why
realize? Like, how did you come to realize, like, suddenly that you were sending mixed messages? Because we put on our clothes, we put on our makeup every day. Like, how do we even like get to the point of recognizing that, hey, maybe something's, the signal that I'm sending isn't right? Like, how did you recognize that for yourself?
people are not reacting the way we expect them to. We expect them to respect us, to maybe to look up to us, maybe to approach us in a loving way, or respect our boundaries, respect our privacy. I
Mm-hmm.
had people coming to me and they wanted to fix me as if I was broken. They were constantly telling me, you should do this, you should do that. Why are you like this? Why are you not like that? And these were all clues that something was wrong.
Mm.
But I thought that they were wrong, and that, of course, that nothing was wrong with me.
Mm.
Later, I realized that the problem was not them, and neither was I because I wasn't aware of this.
Was there a specific moment where you got that indication that it was something wasn't right with you or in the way that you were sending your signals?
Yes, as a linguist, I was always passionate about communication. And I started with verbal communication, but I was always interested in nonverbal communication as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I read a lot of psychology books and some self-development course. I took self-development courses and so on. And I stumbled upon just accidentally, actually, upon this theory of visual appearance and how it can influence our energy levels, our well-being, even our health. Things we wear can actually influence our health in a certain extent, to the certain extent.
Interesting. Before we even go into like, what did you learn? I'm really curious. How did you get to the point where, when you say you were a miserable gray mouse and you were only wearing a certain number of or colors that you were wearing? What was it about those particular colors, and why did you choose to wear those colors initially?
This is an excellent question. Yes, I was hiding. I wanted to hide myself. I didn't want to be noticeable or noticed. I was hiding in school, you know, not to be noticed by the teachers, because then I had my peace of mind, you know, and didn't need to bother with them and didn't need to answer their questions and show that I don't know the subject, for example, you know, the theme. But also I was hiding from people. And what these colors made for me is that I was blending in with their environment. Gray, brown, those colors are what I call camouflage colors. They make you blend in and unnoticed. And I think that this is why these colors are so popular in general. You know, black is a staple. Everyone wears black. And it is a myth that, you know, you can't go wrong with black. But that's not true. It goes only for certain type of people.
Yeah, interesting. Because can we go a little bit deeper? When you say that you wanted to hide and that you were hiding from everyone and you wanted to blend in, do you remember what was the reason? Like, what particularly happened that made you want to feel or be invisible?
I think it's the upbringing and the Western culture. You need to blend in. Conformity is a value. Conformity is good. Think, for example, uniforms in schools. Everyone should be equal. Everyone should be the same. Don't stand out, because then you're going to draw attention to yourself and you will be something more. I also come from ex-communist country where everyone needed to be, it was desirable that everyone would be equal. I'm not judging the system, but it's the basis of the system is that everyone should be equal and have equal chances.
Can I ask, does that mean that the people that you were surrounded by and the people that you grew up with, were they also dressing like miserable gray mouse, or like were they also the same? Was everyone wearing the same kind of colors and outfits, or what was that like?
Yes. In the 80s and 90s, I think it was quite popular. And also now I see a lot of people wearing these colors. And when I look at our shops, the clothes that we can buy and choose are mainly these colors. I was talking to a shop owner one day, and she said, I buy black clothes because people don't want to buy color. I love color, but I can't sell it. So I'm sticking to black.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find leggings that are not black.
Yeah, because it's like a very staple color as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
women think that they look slim in black.
Mm.
Yeah, black makes slim, but also other colors if you know how to properly use them.
Yeah. And here's the thing, when I went to Europe and also just in Australia as well, like anything with that sort of European influence as well has those kind of staple colors. It's like the neutral colors, and there's a black is definitely prominent in that. And I just like, there's a type of description that people say that it's like it's elegant, you know, like that you can blend in and these colors are classy. What's your view on like these neutral colors? Like what in terms of, you know, is that really true, or like is there something else that we don't know?
Elegant and classy defines an ideal image of a woman. A woman should be elegant and classy. And in Europe, this means she must not stand out. She stands behind her man. You know, they say um, behind every successful man, there is a successful woman. So she stays behind. The man is in the front.
Mm.
And this blending in is elegant because it represents the gentle nature of a woman who is not a leader, as you know, someone who takes action, but she is a leader in, we say, a leader in the shade.
Mm.
So she's not exposed, visible in the open, you know.
Wow.
She stays at home.
Mm-hmm.
Usually women stay at home. And this is not just Europe. If we think way back to the beginnings of human race, women were at home taking care of children. They were gathering food from berries and so on. And men were hunters. They went out. They went out in the open. They took action. They were, you know, more in the front
Mm.
lines.
Yes, that's very true. In history, it is a very masculine sort of movement in that way, and only really in the recent like few decades that really you see that movement like have changed now, you know, in terms of the equality side and women stepping up. We're probably not there yet, but you know, it's definitely, you see that the change is coming through. So give us some insight into leadership when you say that, the, you know, that side. It was like fascinating because um there was like a deeper meaning to these words,
Yeah.
into what we sort of perceive, like, you know, that will mix these colors in terms of being bolder and women leading more. So what are the things that you learned? Let's go back to like when you went to that, found out about visual appearances and how it can influence us. um, what did you learn? What have you learned so far that's been really impactful for you?
Women are the strongest leaders when they use their feminine power in the feminine way. The female principle is different than male principle. And I'm an advocate for the female principle.
Mm.
And I think this is going to be, in the coming years, this is going to be recognized, and more women will understand this approach better.
Mm. So how do we become more visible or step into and showcase more of our feminine power um, in the world through the work that you do, through the knowledge that you have?
With dressing, aligned with our inner essence, we express our beauty and our attraction in a harmonious way. It's the law of the nature. I always say that you can break the law of man, but you cannot break the law of nature when it comes to your visual appearance. The law of man is fashion and fashion trends, but the law of nature is the harmony we create with our visual appearance. Because everything is vibration. Our bodies are solid because of vibration of the atoms that makes them stick together.
Yeah, right.
And the colors are vibrations as well.
Yeah, just like the rainbow, there's different frequencies.
Yes.
How do we actually connect to our inner essence? Like, how do we know what would be our signature colors or style? How do we get to the point of like, because what happens if I just think that I like black and then I stick to just the black, grays, and browns for the rest of my life? And I think that that's totally fine, even though maybe I'm attracting, different energies and results in my life. But how do I know what is what I should be wearing to be able to, like attract different results or have a different kind of life?
It depends on your personality and personal energy. I have a lot of tools to determine what kind of personality you have, what kind of lifestyle you have, what kind of energy is your dominant, what kind of attraction is your dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So with this dominant attraction, you can determine which color value. I say color value because you can wear yellow, like lemon yellow, or it can be mustard yellow.
Yeah.
It's cool and warm, I guess many people are familiar or have heard of the Four Seasons color theory.
Can you share with us a little bit about that?
The Four Seasons.
Yeah.
It's different values of color or different shades, we can say. And it's divided in 4 types. And then you have summer, winter, autumn, and which one? Spring.
Yeah.
So yeah, the color systems, the color shades are named after the 4 seasons, and there are 4 types.
Right. Okay.
And they base on the warm and the cool type of skin undertone, for example, and hair and eyes, and basically how your body resonates.
So it's very much about like, it's almost like a profile. So if like I come to you, but then we would go through, I suppose, a process of like understanding based on my color tone, my personality, things that I'm attracted to potentially, and work out some kind of color profile that would be suitable for the personality or the appearance. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm curious then, what kind of tips would you have for people, like if they don't have a consultant like yourself, or, like readily available, they don't have access to this? What would be some things or clues that people could tap more into their inner essence and be able to self-select, choices about the colors that they're wearing, the things, the outfits that they put together?
I would say wear clothes intentionally. and try to feel into them. If you have different shades of yellow, for example, at home, try wearing those pieces and see if your well-being or how you feel in a certain shade. How does it make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Another indicator is when people say, oh, I love that purse you're having, or oh, I love that jacket you're wearing. This is an indicator that you are just a hanger for clothes because they notice the item, not you.
That's interesting.
If they say, oh, you shine, you look so healthy, you look so happy, did you change anything? Then this might be a clue that you managed to dress harmoniously, because everyone has this inner guidance in themselves, within themselves, and the natural tendency to choose things that are in alignment with them.
But you're not saying, in terms of, if I had like a purse and like, you know, I really like it and like I feel that it suits me and my color scheme, but then if someone makes that kind of comment, that's not necessarily like, is that like a reflection on themselves, or like that doesn't mean that they're actually a hanger that does it? Or, you know, some people just might really notice the item as well, like friends and whatnot. Yeah,
Yes,
tell us about that.
this is just how would I say, an indicator, a clue.
Yeah, right.
It's not a final or not a final determination. It's just a clue that can help you see where you're at. It
Yeah.
can happen if they are the type of person who really resonates with that purse, for example. They may say they love it because it's their style,
Yeah.
and they recognize their style. This is why I always advise people not to ask their friends how they look.
Yeah,
Because
that's
their
very
friends,
common. Or their
yeah,
partners, you know, like a lot of women would be like, how do I look like before I go out?
the partner is a really good clue, actually, because men, in my research, I have noticed that men have really, really good eye for this.
Tell us
It's
about that.
really, yeah, it's funny. And actually, many women would say, oh, how's that? They can't tell red from orange, but they have this subtle style, not style, sense, because men are more visual beings than women. They like to watch, they like to see beautiful, they like to watch
Naturally.
beautiful women.
Yep. Yep.
They're attracted to their visual appearance.
So you're saying men is a good indicator then? Like they are actually,
Yes,
yeah. So that's actually a
yes,
good advisor if we actually wanted to seek some kind of validation or advice. Utilize the men around us in our lives. Do you think?
absolutely. But a word of caution, men have been trained because their opinion was not acknowledged, because women like to ask women how they look. If a man hears this, you're just saying that, or you don't mean it, then he may draw back.
Yeah, okay.
And if he is frustrated, he may say, okay, you look good in everything, I don't
Okay.
care.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a something to be aware of for women, not to maybe train the man, or to really acknowledge that if you are getting the genuine compliment, to be able to take the feedback rather than disregard it, because then they will
Yeah.
just withdraw and not give you the right feedback.
Yes, because the best thing is not to ask them.
Oh, okay.
Because if you get it right, he will just stare and laugh. I mean, not laugh, but smile.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes shine when he sees his woman in a harmonized appearance from head to toe. It's literally, you can notice his eyes shine.
Yeah, okay. So not necessarily do you really need the verbal communication or the verbal validation.
Yes, this is another important topic. Men don't use as much verbalization as women do. And I think that many, especially strong women, are really not enjoying their relationships the way they could if they understood the communication, the way of communication men use. Because women are the storytellers, and we need to verbalize everything. They don't. They are really heart-centered beings, but it was taken away from them.
Anna, let's go into that a little bit, actually, because you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that you were in like unfulfilling relationships, and that kind of led you on your journey as well. Can you talk us through, like, I mean, what you've been saying so far, it sounds like it's come from experience and, from like different observations. So can you talk us through what you mean by, or what you have observed, in terms of, how do we keep attracting, whether it's the man or the right, the fulfilling relationships, or how do we address the non-verbal communication if the women are more of the verbal and the storytellers, like how do we navigate that as women?
We need to reinvent ourselves again. We need to find ourselves and feel into who we are and what we stand for. If you're looking for a partner, if you're on a search for an ideal partner, the first thing you have to do is first make a list what he has to have and how he needs to behave, and whatever comes to your mind in as much detail as possible. And secondly, you need to be self-sufficient. You need to love yourself, to accept yourself, and to know yourself. Not that you don't fall into this game of being likable and pretending to be someone you're not, just to be likable.
So when it comes to like dressing, some women may want to dress for men as well, right? Like you want to dress for the occasion, you want to dress for other people, you dress to impress. That's the whole term. When you say that you've got to really connect with yourself and make sure that you're self-sufficient first, how do we know or are able to stay within our limits before we start to want to people please, or before we start to want to be liked, like, and dressing for other people? How do we dress for ourselves?
It takes a lot of training, I must say. Retraining. But it's not impossible. It's doable. I'm not sure if you can do this on your own, though.
Share with us, Anna, your experience. Like, how did you go about your process of retraining?
I had help. I had mentors as well, and guidance.
Hmm.
I don't think that I would be able to do this on my own.
So did you have like a personal stylist or someone that you could bounce the ideas off in your life of as to way, you know, to get your signature style or know your colors and how to put things together?
I had spiritual guides. I had trainers. I had people helping me from different angles and different industries. And I actually combined everything in my programs together so that women who work with me, they receive everything from me, but I received these things from different people and different courses and different perspectives and approaches.
Okay. Yeah. So you really become, I guess, the go-to. You've been able to package all the things that you've learned into your program.
I'm like a all-in-one service.
Yeah, very convenient as well.
Yes,
to have that.
fast and
It's
efficient.
that's the whole thing about, you know, like the coaching, the teaching, and all of that is that, you know, you are that person who goes and like learns a variety of things for yourself, but then you can really express that in your own way. So I'm curious then, if we can go back into what would be like the first step, like of that anyone can take in terms of getting to know themselves, their style, their colors. What would you recommend in terms of just really starting this journey off? If they're someone who's a miserable gray mouse, right? How do they
Mhm.
even take those first few steps?
They can choose my free quiz, attraction style quiz.
Mm-hmm,
They can take.
mm-hmm.
This is the first guide, and I recommend their colors a bit and jewelry.
Yeah.
What would be a good fit? They get a little insight into where their energy is going.
Mm-hmm.
So the quiz is available on my website.
Yeah, wonderful. We can
And
we can
yeah,
drop all the links in the show notes so people can find out, you know, to start that quiz for themselves. Then
yes.
how has your life changed since, you know, going on your journey and being able to transform and learn all of these things which you now neatly package for other people? How has your life changed since then in terms of, you know, your vibration, your attraction, and since changing your style?
I I like to say it changed my destiny. I could have stayed in um, an office somewhere typing my life away.
Mm-hmm.
But I chose differently. I wanted to stand out and be noticeable. I could stay in a relationship just because of the relationship and not to be alone. And I would stay sad and I would be even more alone with that partner that wasn't um, compatible with me and
Mm-hmm.
me with him. But I chose to attract the man of my dreams and to attract things that are compatible with me and what I love.
Mm. So did you get all the things that you loved, and did you attract the dream man?
Yes, I was how do I say, I was a pessimist before, and I managed to turn into a realist, I would say, not optimist, a realist, because
Hmm.
I like taking action. I
Yeah.
like to be the ruler of my destiny.
Yeah.
So yes, I did. I attracted a wonderful man that I go along really well with,
Hmm.
and we have a family now together.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah.
Anna, share with us. I think people would be really curious about this. Like people who are on the journey right now, discovering themselves, trying on different outfits and colors and all of that, and they're desiring that kind of dream person, that perfect partner in their life. Share with us a little bit about, I guess, how did you meet? How did you end up being able to attract? Like, were you wearing, all the things that you love to wear? Like, do you remember that moment where you met, and how that kind of unfolded?
Yes, and another great question, because he noticed me before I knew he existed.
Mm.
I was always making sure that I looked put together and in my colors. I was dressing my attraction style from top to bottom at all times. I was really strict about it because it made me feel aligned and in harmony. I felt good, I felt healthy, I had a lot of energy, because if you're wearing wrong colors, it may drain you. It may drain your energy and you feel tired and you look sick.
did, so the new style, the new Anna, was she wearing the gray, the brown, the black, or was that gone?
I kept the black.
It's a good like staple, like in betweener.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I got rid of gray and brown, yes. But
Okay.
that worked for me. There are people who shine in gray. There are people who shine in brown.
Mm,
So
so true.
for me personally, I could keep the black.
Hmm.
But you cannot keep all three colors.
Maybe all together at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You're either a black person, a gray person, a brown person, but you cannot have all three.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, because yeah, it could be quite energy draining, as you said, if it's too much of one thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So can we go back to the moment? So you were in your,
Mhm,
your ideal colors.
mhm. Yes, and I was walking my dog.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, I was also training the dog from my ex-partner, because my future man of my dreams noticed me before I was single. He
Interesting.
was watching me from the distance. I was visiting the same pub, because I was socializing the dog, the puppy, and I was bringing him to the pub, to get used to people and urban surroundings and how to behave
Hmm.
and how to sit still and all that. And yeah, he noticed me because I stood out. I was, like this shining star. I was, because if you are wearing your colors and your style that is aligned with you, you really shine. People cannot look away. They need to look at you. It's that powerful.
Mm. How long until he noticed you, to the moment where you actually like engaged with each other and communicated?
Well, he actually needed to wait until my ex and I broke up.
Mm.
He didn't know whether we were going to break up or not. It was, he was just watching me from the distance.
Mm. So
And
you
then,
weren't like you didn't know about him pretty much this whole
no,
time.
no, no, I didn't know about him, but I did notice his car. Because he always had this car parked in a certain place. And I was like, oh, I really love that car. It's a really great car. It was a half truck actually.
Oh
So
wow.
really powerful black half truck pickup. I think it's called pickup.
Mm.
So yeah, but I haven't noticed him because I was minding my own business. I had a boyfriend and all that. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't looking for someone else. But then yeah, it happened that we broke up, and he still didn't do anything. um, he just observed and was there, and then a friend of ours, I was her friend and he was her friend. She had a party, and she invited both of us to the party
Mm.
because she knew that he was single and I was single, and she was listening to my stories and his stories, but he was not speaking about me. He was just, you know, saying how he would like to have a partner and so on. And then, yeah, she invited us both. And this is how we started talking.
Mm. And the rest is history.
Yeah, he needed to put a lot of effort to get me.
Were you actually interested in him at that party? Like, were you already interested, or like did it take some time before you kind of realized?
Well, I couldn't go past his blue eyes because he has extraordinary blue eyes, like the ocean. And
Wow.
I'm like, I'm like that bug on the light. When I see blue eyes, I can't stop. It's like,
Oh, that's so good.
I
Yeah.
feel strangely drawn to it.
Yeah. So it was probably drawn to your whole vibe, and then you were drawn to his eyes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There you go. So you just never know. You don't know. Like, I think timing
No.
wise, like, could you really put a timeline for yourself that, when you wanted to meet someone, like, could you really be in control of that, or not really, do you think?
No, I think I was not ready when we met. I actually was not ready, but it just happened. So, yeah, I'm glad that I was always dressed appropriately.
Mm, yeah. In your
To
own
get,
style.
yes, to get out that vibe. He was not the only one. There are many men I could choose from.
Mm,
And that's good because it was a variety. I could choose. It's not like the first one that came. I had a lot of people to choose from. And that's good.
yeah. Have choice. And that's really
Yeah.
empowering position to be, isn't it? When you actually have
Yes.
choice rather than having to default to like only, one, or like only a few, just by being yourself.
Yes, exactly. Because by then, I knew what kind of man I want and what kind of man is aligned with me.
Mm.
And I knew that we would work together, we would function together.
So even though you were coming out of the other relationship, were you already clear? Like, did you know that, this was your set criteria, this was what you were looking for, but however, the person in front of you wasn't that person? Like, were you clear before you met the new, your dream man?
Um, every relationship I went from, or away from, or we broke up, no matter who was the initiator. I learned what I don't want. With every relationship, I grew a bit more towards what I don't like, what I don't want. So my choices were actually more narrow from this perspective.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want this, don't want this, I don't want this. And the things that would be okay with me stayed at the end.
Yeah, okay. So it was just naturally sort of evolving as you went through the experiences as to what you didn't want. So then naturally what
Yeah.
you wanted unfolded.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the end, I did make the list. I want this, I want this, I want this, and I want this, because I already experienced what didn't work for me. But this is because I didn't know that there are different types of people and who goes along with whom. So with this attraction style, the choice is much faster.
Yeah. In terms of the relationship side of things, because you have had the experience before and you naturally got into what you knew what you wanted by the end of all of these other ones, what's your view on experience versus just having the list? Because like, let's say someone's never really had anyone before because they're super picky, they already like have that list. However, they haven't had maybe the experiences of, whether you call it failure or failed relationships, or like the ones that they don't want. What's your opinion or insights onto like getting experiences versus like just having the list and holding on to that list for like a long time without experience?
I think that's good. If you're a person that doesn't need experience, you don't need it. I guess I would save myself a lot of sadness if I knew what I know now. Because in the end, these failures just create wounds in our heart. I wouldn't encourage experience just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
If you think you need it, okay, but if you don't, it's no point.
So it's really just about, if you're clear, you're clear. Like if you know what you want, go after that and don't settle. But if you are exploring, then do that as well.
Exactly. Because we're all different, and some people need this and some people need that. But if you have your list and your dream partner doesn't come along and doesn't come along and doesn't come along, and you're waiting like forever, then you need to take a look at your attraction style. If you are faithful to yourself and to your style, and if you are vibrating the right attraction to attract that man to you.
Yeah. What would be your number one tip or insight to anyone who is on the journey, who is sort of, they're waiting for the man, or they're wanting to attract better things in their life? Do you have a message that you want to tell them?
Yes, explore yourself and do a thorough check where you're coming from and where you want to go. And also be willing to adapt. Because you may have the list, but you need to take into consideration that there are going to be some things you didn't consider. And this doesn't make the person bad or, broken or whatever. We cannot predict everything, how someone should be. And we're all human, so nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But the core values, the core characteristics need to be in place.
So important. And I come to now, right? Come to the work that you're doing now. What are you working on these days?
These days, perfecting this quiz. I'm always perfecting it. And also preparing some courses. They're not out yet.
Yeah.
But one of them is going to be about long-lasting relationships, how to maintain a long-lasting relationship. So this is very
Wonderful.
funny that you mentioned it.
Yeah, we are right on the topic. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah. So yeah, I can obviously get people connected with you through dropping all the links so they can find you. And lastly, now that knowing what you know, with all the knowledge and experience that you've had now, what does fulfillment mean to you?
Being in flow, being in harmony with myself, with the environment, with my partner, and achieving that through the things that I wear, because your clothes is like an armor. If it vibrates with you, it's a part of you, and you can accept things through. But if it doesn't vibrate the same way as your body, it creates disturbances, and you may, the good things may bounce away from it
Yeah.
because of these disturbances that create holes in your aura or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And lastly, imagine that, you are vibrating through the next chapter of your life until all the way, and you attract all the things that you want and becomes your last day on earth. What would be the message that you would want to send to everyone or leave us with?
Just continue to improve. There's always time for transformation, no matter how old you are. There's always the right time, and it's always, how do I say it? It's not in vain. It's never too late. Even if it's one day before you go, it makes sense to evolve and to transform into a better, a happier person, even for just one day.
You never know where you're going in your next life either. So, maybe
Exactly.
that's a new transformation journey in itself.
Yes, maybe it's a starting point for the next one.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all your wisdom with us today, Anna. It's very much appreciated, and I had a lot of fun learning from you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your awesome questions.
Thank you.